Hello and welcome. My name is Anthony Tippy, and today I am going to show you how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, I know what you're thinking, I know what you're saying. Anthony, I know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But do you? Do you know how to make it so that it is the best of your ability and that it is nutritious as well as delicious? Well, today we are going to find out just that, and I hope to give you guys some tips and tricks along the way to help you out. So, what do we start with? Well, of course, you got to start with some bread, because if you don't really have bread, it's not really a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's a peanut butter and jelly mess. It's not really there. So, there's a couple different types of bread we got, right? We have some white bread here, straight from Kroger. This was on sale, right? And then we also have some of the bakery white bread. So this is kind of a more realistic bread. It's not just that processed stuff. And additionally, we have some wheat bread. Now, there's other types of bread, of course, that you guys could use. You could use sourdough bread. You could use a cheesy bread, like an Asiago cheese bread. That might be kind of good. I don't know. I would say pick whatever your favorite type of bread is and go ahead and start with that. So what's next on our ingredients? Okay, so we have, obviously, some sort of jelly, some sort of spread. Now, traditionally, we have Welch's Concord grape that we use for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But I'm here today to tell you that you do not have to do that. You do not have to go ahead and stick with the tradition. You can be different. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we have different types of jellies. There's Foster's Blueberry. Personally, I think it's delicious. We have another one that's apple butter. Apple butter is just made from apples. Butter, it's delicious. And you could even get a little weird with it. You could put some Nutella on there, right? So this is kind of our spread. You don't have to choose Concord grape. You could choose blueberry, you could use strawberry, you could choose peaches. Whatever fits your agenda, go for it. So next, of course, wouldn't be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without these two. Now, there are two main schools of thought. It's the battle between crunchy and creamy. Now, some people like the creamy. Traditionally, Jif is the supplier of the creamy peanut butter. So creamy peanut butter is just a little smooth. It's more like a butter consistency, and it's just made out of peanuts. You know, it's pretty straightforward. It's peanut butter. Now, the difference between crunchy. So what is crunchy peanut butter? Well, crunchy peanut butter just has some peanuts in it. Really, that's all it does. So they just take normal peanut butter and maybe they blend it a little bit more, but basically it just has peanuts in it, so it adds a nice little crunch to your sandwich. So now that's our ingredients. So I'm going to choose out what I think we should put together. And I am going to go with the traditional because I'm a little bit of a traditionalist myself. So I have some Concord grape jelly that we're going to use. And I'm not really a fan of the creamy jelly, or the creamy peanut butter, so I'm going to choose the crunchy peanut butter. I personally think it adds a little bit more flavor, it's more of a consistency, it blends with the crust a little bit better, and I think it's just better for me. So, now what kind of bread, of course, are we going to start with? Well, I am going to take some of this homemade from the store bread, and I'm going to use some of that. So let's see if we can't move some of this stuff out of the way. Some of our visual aids, and we see if we can get a better view of all this stuff, right? All right, so we got our three ingredients here. Again, we got the crunchy peanut butter, we got the grape jelly, and we have the bread. So, how do we make this sucker? How do we put it together? So first of all, you're gonna need to take your bread. First of all, you really want to wash your hands. I've already washed my hands, so make sure to go ahead and do that. You can take off any jewelry. You don't want to get that all gooped up. And you're gonna take 2 pieces of bread out. Right? And you're going to plop them down on your plate just like that. So we got our bread picked out. What do we need to do next? Well, there's not really one true way to do this. You could start with the jelly, or you could also start with the peanut butter. It is fully up to you. All that matters is that the consistency is going to be right. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, and that you get them on each of the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with this crunchy peanut butter right here. You're going to unscrew the lid. And you're going to take your knife, and you want to be careful with this. You don't want to cut yourself. But you're going to scoop a bunch out, right? I would recommend, this is really important, I would recommend probably about 1/3 cup of peanut butter. Now, you might be asking, well, why does it have to be specifically 1/3 cup? Well, if you get the consistency wrong, it really doesn't do it. If you have too much peanut butter, you're going to be running for milk. It's too dry. It doesn't really soak it up quite well. That also comes into the factor of the bread too. You want to get a nice bread that isn't too dry, not too wet. And like I said, you want to put about a 1/3 cup of peanut butter on here, whether it's crunchy or not. And it's really important, you want to go ahead and get in there. Let's see if I can get that on the camera. You want to go ahead and try to get that over as much surface area as you can, you know, while being relatively tidy about it, right? So I'd say that's pretty good. You can put your peanut butter to the side now. Now at this point, you're going to, of course, take your grape jelly, and you want to put this on the other side here. So you unscrew the cap. It's not too big of an issue. You can also get another knife if you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and go into it. This is my personal peanut butter jelly stash. If you are sharing with other people, maybe be courteous and get another knife that's clean so you don't get the peanut butter in there. So you're going to take it, and again, just as the peanut butter, the consistency and the amounts are relatively important. If you get too much jelly and not enough peanut butter, then it kind of just tastes like you're eating jelly. It's not super great. So I would say you're going to put about probably a 1/3 cup, just like the peanut butter, of jelly in here. All right, something like that. Get that all in there. Now this part is a personal step that I add in. Now I like to kind of massage the jelly because it comes out in all these little clumps, and I like to kind of massage it down to more of a spreadable form, right? So I'm gonna massage it, I'm gonna turn it, I'm gonna spread it, and it just helps it. You can really like taste the flavor that's being, the added extra effort that's in there. You can really, it really shows in the final result. So I would recommend kind of just spreading it, taking your time. You don't want to rush through this, or you're not going to have a good sandwich, and it's just, why are you even making a sandwich then, right? So, all right. So we got our jelly right here. We got our peanut butter. Move that back a little bit. Now, of course, the final step in our process. This is what we've all been waiting for. This is the marriage. This is the marriage between the halves, the holy matrimony of the halves. So we're going to take these two, and we're going to take them and put them together. Now, as you can see here, before we do that, this is kind of like a semicircle shape. If it's more of a square, it doesn't really matter too much which way you put it. But here, if I put it the other way, it's going to mess it up, and it just won't look as visually good. So you're going to want to make sure to line those up, lay them on top of each other, and then I just like to give it just a couple pats, maybe a little rub, to try to mix all the flavors in there, right? And then last but not least, take this knife that we were spreading everything on, and you just want to cut it down the middle. I think it makes it a little bit easier to eat, right? So you got our two separate halves there now, right? All right, and that is how you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now let's go over some quick points. How do we do that? So, number one, it is not important what type of ingredients that you choose in the order of tradition. You do not have to go with the standard bread. You could very well do some sourdough bread. In addition, you do not have to do the standard grape jelly. I happen to do this grape jelly, but you could always do strawberry jelly. You could always do, in the same fashion with peanut butter, you could use something like Nutella. I think that's really good. It's kind of like a Reese's sandwich. That's very good. And number three, you want to be safe while you're doing this entire thing. And then you should have a delicious looking product just like this. My name is Anthony Tippie. It's been a pleasure.